There's a couple things actually. There's one I want to talk about because there's a lot of misinformation about it. The other thing we're going to talk about is some of the annual filings that you must do. So for those of you who have not started or wondered, I might lose you a little bit, but these are the things that all nonprofits must do. And I'm just going to clear up a few things. So let's start into it. The BOI, the Beneficiary Ownership. Hey, nonprofit leaders, Happy New Year. And you know, if you're listening to my voice, that means you have made it to 2025. And I'm Kathy Anderson, for those who don't know me, of A&E Coaching Group. And for those that don't know me, I am Kathy Anderson of A&E Coaching Group, a nonprofit coach, or I call it all things nonprofit. That's what we talk about. So I want to get right on into it. There's a few things I want to discuss because we're at the top of the year, and I hope all of you have some goals, some very, very good, fine-tuned goals. That's all I'm going to say, right? But the main thing, what we're talking about today, there's a couple things actually. There's one I want to talk about because there's a lot of misinformation about it. The other thing we're going to talk about is some of the annual filings that you must do. So for those of you who have not started or wondered, I might lose you a little bit, but these are the things that all nonprofits must do. And I'm just going to clear up a few things. So let's start into it. The BOI, the Beneficiary Ownership Information, right? I just keep hearing BOI. So sometimes I get that wrong. Beneficiary Ownership Information. Nonprofits, 501 tax exempt, do not have to file. I'm saying it like this because, again, a lot of misinformation. And why do you not have to file? Well, the key term is beneficiary ownership. You do not own a nonprofit organization. I say that all the time. You can see it on almost every single video. You do not own a nonprofit organization. But if you have a business, specifically they're saying LLCs and corporations, whether it be S or C, and then there's some others. That's not what our talk is about. I just want to let the nonprofit organizations know that you're exempt, right? But I'm going to put a link in there if you want to go to where the information is, because a lot of times you have small businesses, a lot of nonprofit founders or people who are part of on the board or whatever, they have small businesses. So I want to give you that information. You can subscribe to it. Right now there's a voluntary submissions only for the application, but it only takes 5 minutes. So if you're procrastinating like me, go ahead and do it if you have a business. But if not, you'll get notification if you subscribe, and then you'll know, because they're going back and forth, different fight about it in legislature about whether it's legal or not, right? That's for the big folks. But for us little people, we just wait and see, or we just go ahead and file because we know how we are. We're busy. Okay. Now let's jump into all things nonprofit. We want to talk about what you have to file, and most of you, if your fiscal year, this means whatever was on your first filing, unless you adjusted it. If it's January to December the 1st, most of you have till April. It could be April 1st, and for some states, it might say April 15th, for all tax information. But for most, it is April the 1st. So you have that 4-month window again. If you're that, not even a 4-month, that's 3 months. So if you are that procrastinator, go ahead and have your annual meeting. Make sure everything is in order and file accordingly. Annual meetings, yeah, you're supposed to have that at least every year, and whatever your bylaws say. But the things that you will need to file, there's the state. So either you're going to file with the Secretary of State or Attorney General. It depends on your state. Most of them are Secretary of State. And there's 2 areas that many of the nonprofits, or many of the states, will require. There's the regular entity type, I call it, where you're filing corporations, nonprofit, whatever. You're going to file that and update it. There's usually a place for your board members, so if there's any changes, make sure you go ahead and do that. And by the way, if you make those changes on there, have your bylaws updated. Show that there has been a vote for if somebody has resigned, someone has been terminated from it, or whatever the changes are. Make sure you have the documentation to support it. No, you do not have to submit that, but I just want to put that in there because that's still something that you have to do. Everybody thinks, oh, all I have to do is file, but you still have to show documentation and recording where all of that was done as well. That's part of your meeting. The other part of that is called charitable solicitations registration. So if you haven't filed it and you have a nonprofit, make sure your state does not require it. But many states are picking this up. This is another area that, before you only did the IRS and maybe the state. So they really didn't know if your 501c3 was still active or, active. That's the best word I could find. Because the IRS is the one who deems tax exemption on the federal level. That is the final step. So there's other conversations that I have and discussions I have on what it takes to start the nonprofit. But so we're going to just assume but annually you have to file with the state. And remember I mentioned there's two different areas. There's the regular filing and there's charitable solicitations. Some places you have to do the charitable solicitations first because there's a 990, or they might call it something different in your state. I'm in Tennessee. They call it a 990 as well. And you file that. You're not submitting anything from the IRS. So whether you made a dime or dollar or penny, whatever, up to millions of dollars, you're filing this. And that determines whether it's a short form, long form, even in the state. Now, then there's the IRS. This has to be done annually. If you read your determination letter, it doesn't say depending upon how much revenue you have bought in. So it doesn't matter about if it's grants, if it's donations, all that in there collectively. And I'm saying these for a reason, and as you listen to, if you get into my, we'll talk about an academy that I've started, or you go back to some of the other videos, you'll see that I really, really talk about this because I've gotten so many people telling me the wrong information. And I've been doing this since around 93 or so when I had my own nonprofit, and that was before the computer age. So the IRS, you're going to either do a short form. I do forget what it's called because usually you click it and it's there. And like I said, they'll have 990. And everything is determined. It'll ask you questions. If you've made over a certain amount or bought in a certain amount of revenue, it'll automatically tell you must file another one. And there's another longer form where you're going to go into what you started off in the bank account for the first of the year and then what you ended with. And I'm trying hard not to go into more depth of teaching these things because as you see, I'm passionate about it and it's so important because all of this has to do with the main thing that people come to me for. How do I get a grant? How do I get a grant? That's what everybody wants to know. But you have to have your foundation in order and everything has to be up to date, right? It's all about the paper trail. Yes, it is. So, 3 things for some states and 2 things for all nonprofit organizations, no matter what state. That's filing with your state corporation. It's a nonprofit corporation. And then some states, you're going to do the charitable solicitation. And then lastly, it's going to be the IRS. And it is required. And for your states, and there's some leniency with the IRS, but don't worry about it because if you're a procrastinator like me, just let April 1st be your deadline and try to do it before then. And have your annual board meetings, right? So some of this stuff you're going to file, but making sure that all your paperwork is in order, that your bylaws reflect, that you showed the update. I'm going to say this again. Make sure your board members that you have for 2025 are the same for the state and they are the same for federal. So if you have to submit for a grant, all of those documents will be turned in. They will ask for those for a lot of the grants. Other than that, grant writing is so easy. When it comes to just small amounts of money, filing is so easy. Quit paying people. Open your mind, learn your business, I said business, okay? Learn nonprofit if that's what you want to do. What you do when you're paying for coaches, consultants, and grant writers is you're paying for the time that you don't have to do it when you grow. When you grow. And even then, you still have to be a part. Everybody still needs to be a part of it in some way, collectively. Yeah. So I hope that's enough. I'm not going to recap. I'll leave the links at the bottom, including the IRS. I'll go ahead and do that. But for your state, you'll have to know that for yourself. Pretty easy to do because it's wherever you filed the last time. Unless you change states, and that's a whole nother conversation. So, again, I hope that helps you. And, oh yeah, let's get to the end of what I need to tell you about. 2025, I kind of touched on it. I have started a nonprofit academy called AE Nonprofit Academy. So, what I would like for you to do, if you are close to starting a nonprofit or you have started it and just need to know some more information, need some support, need some resources, or you can have that medium size. That's usually the sweet spot. Because usually if you're larger, that's a whole nother scale of paying for consultants and coaching. But I give a lot of free information. So we're going to start with making sure everybody's on the same playing field. And one, you get 2 free resources. There's going to be one that's like a checklist on how to start a nonprofit and be grant ready. And then the other one goes more deeper into that. And it's an ebook, still kind of short, easy to read. But everybody on your board should be aware of what you all need, annually, but also what you need to make sure that is in place for starting a nonprofit and well as being grant ready, because they will ask for certain records. So, to get to those 2 documents, it is iamgrantready.com. iamgrantready.com. I'll spell that right. One word. Hopefully by now in 2025, you know how to put it in that URL. Don't search it. Just put it in the URL. The URL is that block. Don't put it in the search. iamgrantready.com. I did a little extra teaching there. I digress because you just don't understand. If you're a little bit more advanced, you don't understand what I deal with. And I'm just happen to be kind of sarcastic if I like you. And then you're going to get those 2 documents, and then that will lead you to the link to join the academy, which did I say free? It's free. Okay, disclaimer. One of my goals of 2025 is to be consistent. That's so hard. I don't know about you, but that's so hard. It's a work in progress, but I'm trying to do it. Because as you see, I know a lot of information. I have passion about this, but trying to be consistent so you can be consistent and we can all win is really the name of the game. And so I'm really working on this free academy and making sure that I give way more value than that free. And then there's other options later. So remember, to join that academy, and to get the free checklist and the ebook, it is iamgrantready.com. All right, that's it. I look forward to talking to you all later, and I hope to see you in the academy. Peace.